identified as my job title, which is film producer. And which, entails leading people, a lot of people to a very specific end. So let me qualify for a moment. I make content. I make film, television, digital content. I've done over 23 films and 200 pieces of digital content. And what I do specifically is that I find the story or a director that has the idea, and I execute said idea within the confines of the resources that we have: money, people, time. And I gather up everybody else to execute that with me. And on average, yes, a movie, I have about 100 people that I work with, that I'm organizing, managing, jazz-handing to get the job done. So, and typically, just to add, typically my films are about underrepresented groups and marginalized people. That's my passion, that's my thing, right? So I know it may seem like a lot, a bit of a stretch having an identity crisis or a come to Jesus moment when thinking about leadership, but truthfully, it led me to sort of like a weird place. It led me to ask questions like, I don't know if I really want to be a leader. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of pressure. I just want to make my films. I want to do my art. I want to show different types of people on film and TV so that they don't feel so alone. That's really all that I want to do. Leading to me seems like a lot of responsibility. It seems like you're beholden to a big group of people and you have to care about them. And I wasn't kidding, real talk. I'm the person that leaves my therapist when they start saying, do you think you might have intimacy issues or bonding issues? That's me. I'm like, peace out. I leave. I'm the person that, when charged with, hey, do you want to go to a party or do you want to stay at home and watch TV with your dog? Watch TV with my dog. We'll win every single time. But on the flip side of it, I love large groups of people when we're all working together to execute a vision, when we have a means to an end. Okay, that's right. So I'm like, and scene, drop the mic. So that was sort of, I know, I'm all over the place, y'all. So that was my sort of black hole of circular thinking that I was in for the past few weeks when I was trying to prepare for this keynote. Okay, that's a total lie, because I'm a procrastinator. Turns out I'm a leader that procrastinates. It was really the past 10 days when I thought about that, and I started freaking myself out. Okay, so like I was saying, prior to last week, if I was asked, do you identify as a leader, I'd say no, I'm a producer, but that's a job title. A leader is what you are, right? Right. What do you identify as? And I had a moment. I identify as an outsider. I identify as a misfit, as a nerd, as a weirdo. And yes, I love myself, I have a healthy self-esteem, but I wholly identify myself as the other. And I tend to gravitate and gather others to make kick-ass movies about people who don't get to see themselves in TV and film, so that they can see that they matter, that their stories matter. And you know what? I've been doing it for 20 years. I know I look at, but 20 years, right? So I've either produced, line produced, production managed, I should have this, right? This subject matter should not freak me out, right? But it did. And then I realized something, that I learned everything about leadership from television and movies. I am a lady of a certain age. And there was a time back in the day when there wasn't any daycare. You were a latchkey kid. You came home, and from the hours of 3 to 7, you watched TV and your VCR. Some of you are too young to know what a VCR is, but Google it. But that was what raised me from 3 to 7 for years. And it started out cool. My forms of leadership was Fat Albert, Scooby-Doo. I love it when a plan comes together. The A-Team. Real talk. And then it took a turn. So I'm going to go through, The Warriors, y'all know that movie, Come Out and Play, the cats trying to get from Coney Island, from down here to Coney Island, right? And it took sort of a dark dystopian turn. These are the influences these are my leadership influences. And you think I'm playing. I'm really not. Yes, Ripley, okay, so, let me get to my, okay. So if you look at these really, what is that really saying about what I think about being a leader? It's peril. It's survival. If you mess up, you die. Not only do you die, but your people die. Like if your plan doesn't come together, and I'm like, God damn, excuse my language, but I'm like, I don't want to die. I don't want to be responsible on a level like that. You know, and also, like, here, real talk about these movies, the leader is always an outsider. The leader is always an other, right? The leader is oftentimes not believed, doubted, their abilities always questioned. But eventually, a couple of them, find a motley crew, and together they survive the day, and they're awesome. Except for Newt in Aliens, and I don't know, we don't know what really happened to Fat Albert. He had childhood obesity and diabetes, but we're just gonna say, for right now, that they all got out unscathed. So I really do feel that these are actually great representations of leadership and teamwork, especially as it pertains to my experiences in the high-stakes world of film and film production. And let me tell you why. I feel that it helped me get ready for what was to come as I walked into this career where I am clearly the other. And by that meaning other, meaning someone outside dominant culture, which is white, straight, and male. So now for the rest of this talk, I'm going to talk to you like you are my tribe, like you are my fellow weirdos, misfits, outsiders, and others. And if you identify as a straight white man, good for you. But today, I'm like, that's all great. But today, I'm gonna ask you to get in touch with your lemonade, Beyonce's lemonade, and channel your inner black woman, okay? So, and it turns out in my business, black women, or the other, and this is, who cares about that, just the other, we're not so prevalent. We're kind of like unicorns. There's not that many of us. I mean, it's getting better, but it certainly wasn't as good when I was coming up in the 90s. But somehow, even back then, when I was a kid, I knew that I was going into a hostile workplace. People really would be out to get me. And it's film business. Everybody's out to get everybody. It's like I'm not special. But I really was preparing myself for that. And I also knew that, like, I still had to convince people that I knew what I was talking about, even though I didn't look like them or have a penis. So now that I had my origin story down, made peace with my inner turmoil, I was able to get to a few core things. And these are the things that I realized after reflection that I do on every film. And I actually encourage my crew, my team, to do on every film. And it's been my sort of, call them the rules or my principles that have gotten me through. Know thyself, the what and why of it all, D-bad, or don't be a dick, please. And these are the things that I did or strived to do consistently. I kind of struggle with D-bad, but it's progress, not perfection, right? So let's go to know thyself. I know that I lead, right? I lead through the lens of the other. And I would urge you to ask yourself, what is the lens that you lead from? Do you lead from a place of privilege, entitlement? Do you lead from a place of, oh my God, we're all the same, let's just get along, there's no differences? Like, what do you lead from? I had to get clear with myself that I lead from the place of the other. It's what I bring to the table when assembling a team or working with a team and executing a project. Sometimes it helps me, sometimes it's a hindrance, but it's always with me, it's part of my origin story. So when I was starting out, I knew on a cellular level that I was going to be coming from the outside in. And people saw this as a disadvantage. They were like, Effie, what are you doing? You don't know nobody looks like you there, no one's trying to check for your story. But I knew this is what I wanted to do. I knew that images were very powerful to me. So I knew that So I knew that I was going to be coming from the outside in. And I know, and a lot of times people who are the other know, that this actually can be an advantage because we're able to see from the outside, we're able to see the whole thing, right? We're able to see how all the pieces fit together. In case they fall apart, we can put them back together again, but it actually helps us. I also had to get comfortable with going through a few extra steps to get my seat at that leadership table. And I had, like for instance, I had to get clarity of how I see me, but then I also had to get clarity as to how you may see me. And then I had to anticipate what those were, those discrepancies, and try to fix them so that we could all find common ground if that was to be found. As an other, we actually have to become fluent in their culture. We have to become fluent in their experiences so that we can find common ground. We also have to become fluent in their, I would say, language, in their coded language. And coded language, I mean when they say difficult, confrontational, aggressive, my favorite, angry. And I hate, like, I don't feel safe. And you're like, whatever. But anyway, but this is where, I got introduced to unconscious bias and privilege. And I have to take all of these things into consideration. I have to translate them and then take my team and we have to navigate around it. It's not fair, but life isn't fair, and I'd rather not cry about it, I'd rather be about it. That's also what I take into this. And also I just want to talk about, when you're talking about knowing thyself, you have to know your character defects as well as your character assets. These are also things that you bring to the table wherever you go. For instance, my character defect is sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I feel like I brought the whole damn table. I feel like I brought the coasters, the chairs, everything. I brought the table. That's my character defect. My character asset is I know that I'm full of shit some of the times. And I can't take myself too seriously. But the one thing that I gotta take seriously and that I always hold seriously is the what and the why. And the what and the why is specifically, why are you doing this? And what are you doing here? So I don't know if I was being prepared by the universe, by Loving the Warriors, Full Metal Jacket, and Ripley. Like some people go, what would Jesus do? I would be like, what would Ripley do? Like maybe I was being prepared for what was getting ready to go down because I love these movies. Or maybe on some weird, sad level, I should have stayed with the therapist, I was actually manifesting some sort of situation where I would have to run the gauntlet, where I would have to put everything that I thought I knew about leadership to the test. Project Greenlight. So I decided to do a TV show called Project Greenlight. Now, I should have known, real talk, that this was going to be a disaster. And here's why. You guys are creatives. Like, you know that images speak 1,000 words, right? Or whatever that saying is. But look at that. You notice how there's like, for real, there's like a bright white light coming from like the center, right? And then there's darkness to the side, right? Okay, right? And who's to the side? I am. I'm at the side. I'm right there. You can't see me. Like if you were in a magazine, if I was in a magazine, like I would be in the gutter. Like you wouldn't be, right? So, and you notice that there's not another woman in the bunch or another person of color. So when I saw the poster, I was like, oh, it's about to go down like this. Okay. 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 So I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, I make movies. This shouldn't intimidate me. 23 movies, 200 pieces of content, 20 years, what? I got this. And then this happened. Run the clip. I just want to bring up something. I just would want to urge people to think about whoever this director is, the way that they're going to treat the character of Harmony, her being a prostitute, the only black person being a hooker who gets hit by her white pimp. You looking at this group right here and who you're picking and the story that you're doing. And I just want to make sure that we're doing our best foot forward.
I will say that the only team that's left with diversity is the team that announced that they like this script the most as it is. And that's Leo and Kristen. Everyone else had major problems with it.
But riddle me
and with
that,
exactly the things that you're bringing up and exactly the things that we brought up to each other. So
Not
I,
necessarily
I think
true.
on the surface they look like one thing, but they might end up giving us
True that,
something that we don't want. And when we're talking about diversity, you do it in the casting of the film, not in the casting of the show.
Whew. Wow, okay. Right? All right, okay. 3 hours, I just met those cats. Oh, okay, okay, all right, thank you. I only got 20 minutes, people, and I'm going over time. Okay, sorry. So I'm like, yikes. So, okay, so that literally happened 3 hours after my first time meeting them all, right? And the only bright spot was that Ben Affleck really did look that good, so that was okay. That was really like, it was really beautiful. Okay, I digress, I'm running out of time. And I'm going longer, sorry. So I'll just say, like, this was let me get to myself here. So that happened, and I met those cats. It was only 3 hours after meeting them, like I said. And that was really something. So I became a meme, a GIF. Is that what you say, or a GIF? I don't quite know. Whatever, sue me. So after that was my first day, 3 hours after meeting, and for the next 6 months, I had a camera on me all day, every day, as I did my job, leading the creative team. Hence the talk title, Throwback. And just imagine that every time you had a phone call in your job, every time you had to handle a conflict or deal with like something that's not that important, every time you had to go to the bathroom, you had to tell them you were going so they would turn off your mic. I don't know if they really did. But the thing is that they did it so much that eventually you forget that the cameras are there. And that's kind of what they're banking on. And me being a completely self-possessed, knowing thyself, and we can't look at that anymore, knowing thyself sort of person, I know that I am not for everybody. I know that I am kind of a polarizing character. Either people usually like me or they hate me. There's not a hell of a lot of middle ground, but for some reason I did some sort of mental jujitsu and thought that this was a good idea, and I was gonna go ahead and do the show and put myself out there on some sort of global level. What and why? So I didn't do it for money. I made $900, and I'm gonna tell you numbers. I made $900 on that whole TV show. I got paid to produce the movie like I normally would, but I get nothing. I get no residuals. I get nothing from that TV show. So it wasn't the money. I'm cocky, and I have a big personality, and sure, it appealed being on TV. I thought maybe I'd have my Kardashian moment. I'm just kidding. I really knew I wasn't going to have a Kardashian moment. But I didn't do it to be on TV. But the deeper reason I did it was that I could show my team, my beautiful, inclusive, looks like America, highly qualified team. I wanted to show women, and I wanted to show people of color representing in a workplace that has been traditionally closed off to them. I knew that this was an opportunity to expose the system, maybe change the system, but I also knew that it would cut both ways. It was risky. So in order for me to go and do this, I had to go to my team, and I had to ask, I say permission, or to make sure that we were all in it together, because it could have like a pretty big backlash. But then again, this could also get us to a whole new and improved playing field. This could get us bigger and better seats at a table, maybe get new people at new tables good seats. And maybe, just maybe, we would be able to inspire other people to join us in our plight. That was what we were looking to do. They said yes, my team. We assessed, they booted up, they suited up, and we made the movie on time and on budget. Yes! The creative battle was a little iffy, you know, the movie was a little, wasn't to my taste. But the behind the scenes team, we did a good job, and we were a team of leaders. And I have to say that this was one of the most brutal experiences I've ever been through. But I also have to say that my rule of three, or the rule of three, I'm sure it's not mine, other people have done it, really got me through. Know thyself, your perceived assets and defects, the what and why are you doing what you're doing, and D-bad. So what was brilliant about this show, the good things was that we accomplished this goal. We showed a diverse, inclusive group of people can work together and make a film. We showed that we're not only in front of the camera, but we're also behind the camera, and that we exist and we want the opportunity to work too. The bad things, the not so good things, I realized I got a bit of a chip on my shoulder. Shocking. It's clear that my leadership style doesn't work for everyone all the time. And often I had to opt out of being nice in order to be effective. Now, this is a real sort of double-edged sword, especially if you're a woman, because if you opt out of being nice, you're labeled as a bitch. If you're a man and you opt out of being nice, Bob's just doing his job. And that drives me crazy. But that's a talk for another day. So I feel that there's a delicate balance between opting out of nice and being a dick. It's progress, not perfection. It's what we strive for, people, but also in a team and at a workplace, we're human. Some days just aren't our day. Sometimes you just can't have someone challenge you all the time, and you kind of turn into a little bit of a dick. This happens a lot. And for me at least, and there's a quote that I go to when I'm about to do, I call it the tilt and side eye. And that's when you know you're about to get it. Especially if I'm a black woman, I'm just letting you know, like this is the sign when you see the tilt and the sort of look to the side. So I actually, when I get there, and my team knows, they're like, easy, Tiger. For real, they really do. I have to remember a quote, and it's from Plato, and it's, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting their own battle. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting their own battle. And I have to say that over and over again, because ultimately, in working in a work environment, if a work environment is going sideways, I have to look at myself and see what I'm doing wrong, and I have to course correct it. And I encourage my team to do the same. As a team leader, you are ultimately responsible, and people have to follow, and people usually follow your lead. And honestly, that's all I really have to say on that one. I think we get it. So I'm running out of time. But I just wanted to say thank you for being here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to do a deeper dive into what I feel it takes to be a leader. I really appreciate that. And I hope that you found something that resonated with you. And if not, there's another talker. Jennifer's great. She'll give you all sorts of things. I'm like, yikes. But really, at the end of the day, know thyself. Know what lens you're actually leading from. Know your character assets and your defects. The what and why of it all. Why are you doing this project? What are you doing here? What is your purpose? And then DBD, don't be a dick. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.